Tuesday. Yeah. Y'all ready for this? Seriously? Come on now. Seriously, y'all ready for this? Y'all really want to do this today? I guess we got to do it today. Let's get into it. Again, please take a second to like and in particular share today's show. It means everything. What's up to my people on Spreaker? Tracy, Sharp, Brenda, Ray. Good morning to each and every one of you. Welcome back. It's the Nathan Ivy Show, the last honest place in Cincinnati media. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. What the mistake? What should be the penalty? Have you heard the latest? So Kim Porter was named as the police officer who shot and killed Daunte Wright. Get this, fam. What's being reported is that she mistakenly thought that her gun was a taser. As a matter of fact, if you go back and view the video, if you haven't seen the video, she basically admits it. She basically admits it in real time. She yells taser, and she only fires one shot, and then you can hear her saying, "Oh, I shot him," as if it was a mistake. Good morning to you, family. Welcome back, Nathan Ivy Show. I'm not sure I want this up. Yeah, we'll do it like that. That's better. Good morning to you. Hope you're doing well. Many things to discuss this morning, as always. I'm always ready to do this. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Please like and share this live stream. And you should be seeing a much more wider shot of the studio this morning. You probably see a lot more of me in the studio, bringing you more into the studio. I'm a plant dude. I love plants. You know what I'm saying? That indoor environment means everything. And welcome to my home. This is my home studio. Good morning to you. I am currently in the market for a new studio space so I can fully implement all of my ideas and what we want to do with CDM. So if anyone has maybe you got a line on some good space, let me know. I definitely come out and check it out. All right. Good morning to you. Good morning. How are you? Could you believe this? My question is, what should be the penalty? So if in fact this was just a mistake and she meant to use her taser, but she really used her firearm, what should be the penalty? Because for you and me, the average Joe Blow citizen, there are some mistakes that's going to cost you time. Simple as that. I don't give a damn what your intentions were. I don't care what your history is. What is that right here? Okay. Yeah, we good. I don't care what your intentions are. I don't care what your history is. There's some mistakes that cost you your ass. Simple as that. You know that. I know that. So why would it be any different for her? Because she's a police officer? Let me tell you up front, if in fact they find out this is just a tragic mistake, I think she should do jail. She should be criminally charged. And I hope she goes to jail for the maximum amount. You're talking about a 24-year veteran of the police force. She was a part of the honor guard. It's not like she's a rookie. What's up, bud?
Hello, everybody.
Love you. How'd you sleep?
Good.
You slept good?
I didn't fall on the ground.
You didn't fall out your bed. That's good to hear. That's Junior right there. I'll say it again. Whatever I don't accomplish, my children will. He's already a fan of the show. It's quite interesting. I got to watch what I say sometime because my boy is always listening. Good morning to you. He's always watching.
Good morning, the Nathan Ivy Show. Good morning, the Choppers.
Oh, okay. He said good morning to the Choppers. See, I told you he's one of the Choppers now. When your kids are a fan of your work, could there be anything better from a father's standpoint? I don't think so. Other than checks, because we love checks. Checks is what make it happen, right? Oh, man. Iris writes, good morning to you, sis. She writes, oh, shit, I shot him. Kim Porter. Is that her name? Yes, that's her name. Kimberly Porter is her name. I'll put her image up there. It's been widely reported at this point. So if you haven't seen it, that's her on the right. And that's Daunte on the left, who with his beautiful son. I mean, I understand it. As you know, I'm a father of a son, of a little boy. And how do you think, first, I want to know, who do you blame? because there's been different reports here in the media. Everybody's talking about it. All the YouTube channels, everybody is giving an opinion. And I've come across some YouTube channels where people are blaming, they're blaming Dante. They're blaming Dante Wright for his own death. They're blaming Dante Wright for his own death because they're saying he was resisting arrest. And it goes like this. It's real simple. We've heard it before. If you don't arrest, then these kind of things won't happen. I'm sorry, if you don't resist arrest, then these kind of things won't happen. Is there any truth to that in this scenario? Who is to blame? How much blame is on Dante Wright and how much blame is on Kim Porter? Is it 50-50? Were they both equally wrong or were they both wrong? I'd like to know and get your opinion this morning. 513-873-7134. People are still in the streets in Minnesota. I saw some dudes like standing on a police car. Yeah. There was like kicking in the front windshield. I'm sure you've seen it as well. I don't have no problems with it. I'm be honest with you. I got no problems with it. Now, y'all might think you're supposed to be responsible, Nate. I am being responsible. Being responsible to exactly how I feel. That's how I feel about it. You know what I'm saying? I let other people do all that other stuff. I'm going to keep it real with you. This is what you get. Very, very sad situation right there where this young man, father, lost his life by mistake. And it reminded me of a situation that happened in Cincinnati where you had a man who seemed to be going through like he was having like a bad mental health day. Put it that way. And I believe was it OTR? OTR, the West End here in Cincinnati. Police show up on the scene. They surround him. One Gilligan-ass Cincinnati police officer. Is this officer still on the force? I'm going to look up his name. He should be off the force. One Gilligan-ass police officer. You know what this fool did? This fool loaded a live round into a shotgun. He thought it was a beanbag. How in the hell do you do that? Police cannot have it both ways. You can't tell the public, hey, stay out of this, average citizen because we are the experts and we should be able to regulate ourselves and we know this, but then y'all doing dumb shit like this. This man loaded a live round, thought it was a beanbag. Good thing he's got a bad aim. Or we would have had a situation here in Cincinnati. Talking about some, oops, my bad. I didn't mean to kill him. I thought I was going to hit him with a beanbag. Wait a minute. You don't get to make those mistakes. You don't get to make them kind of mistakes and stay on your job. At the very least, if in fact this is true, that it was a mistake and she thought it was one thing and it was really another thing and she thought it was a taser, how the hell do you do that? At the very least, she should never be a police officer again. But I take that back. At the very least, she should be criminally charged to the fullest extent of the law and prosecuted. And she should never be a police officer another day in her life. No pension, no money, no nothing. You talk about is there a bigger betrayal of the public trust? I don't think there is. I don't know what it is. I don't see it. You tell me. 513-873-7134. Now, calling into a show is not for everybody. Every show has its regulars. This show has its regulars. It is what it is. I completely understand. I'm not trying to connect with anybody or ask anybody to call in you ain't a call-in kind of person. You might just want to take a free ride on my thoughts. Cool. Have at it. Enjoy it. I'll take care of the flows. Don't worry about it. Just do me a solid and share and like today's show. It means everything. Sharing is caring. Also, I've got my Cash up and my PayPal up because I believe in what I'm doing. And if you believe in the mission to amplify Black voices in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond, then perhaps you want to hit your boy with a donation. There's nothing too small. Nothing too small. I appreciate it. I'm going to keep that up for the duration of the show. All right. Call in at 513-873-7134. The wise words of Boutros. Who's back in the game now? Good morning to you, Boutros. If you're listening, brother, open your mind before you open your mouth. Simple as that. That's the only maxim for the show, rule for the show is if not, you gonna get it and I'm gonna hang up on you. We're gonna talk to somebody who's got some damn sense. Now, that doesn't mean you have to agree with the host. I'm completely open to be challenged. Just don't call in with no super dumb shit. Okay, that's all I'm saying. I don't have time for it. All right. Just don't call in with super dumb shit. If you want some extra dumb shit, it's going to be a real quick conversation. It's going to go something like this. Click 513-873-7134 for the next caller. Now, I'm not saying that to intimidate anybody or to make you shy. I'm just telling you what you're getting into. It's the chop shop. It's what we do. Let's go straight to an early call this morning. How about that? Hey, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Big Nate.
What up? What up?
What's up, Big Nate? Hey, man. Hey, first of all, man, I want to send my condolences all the way from Ohio to Minnesota, man, to the young brother, man.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, man, that was, oh, my God. So the term that the police officer, the lame-ass excuse that they're going to use is called slip and capture. That was first introduced in the Arizona case where the brother was walking down the street and the cops arrested him, handcuffed him on the ground, was trying to handcuff him on the ground, and the police went for his handcuffs and went for his gun and shot him. So, hey, man, I'm telling you, B-Nate, that whole thing is BS. That's what they use when they know that 24 years, you train over 10,000 police officers in 24 years' time, doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, dress rehearsal. And you telling me that you didn't know the difference between your service weapon and your taser? Are you really telling me that? You telling this family? And then here's the kicker. This is not just another black woman. His mother is white. So now what do you say, America? This is not a black problem and a white problem. This is a police problem. And the way they interact with the citizenry. Stop blaming citizens and get them gangsters off the street. I don't care, Nate. At first, I went for defund the police, but man, defund the police, defund them in terms of allocate the money that will go to them, to social programs, to other programs that need the money. But here in Cincinnati, Mayor Crowley always saying that the police budget takes up half of the budget. Stop letting the police take up half the damn budget, and then they say that, and then on the other side of their neck, they say we can't graduate a class. What the hell? Come on, man! Stop selling this peanut butter and jelly shit to us, and keep it straight, transparent. Keep it clear. Keep it clear. Now, I hope this new mayor, which I'm voting for profit. I'm voting for profit. Cranley, the worst mayor we ever had. Cranley, the worst mayor we ever had. And then, man, he's for the developers. He's for the developers. If you fighting against trying to house people, you for the developers. Flat out. Ain't no putting your finger in your mouth and trying to figure out what he's trying to do. He's doing it. He's for the developers. Don't put him on there. Cecil, you came out with that weed law and you never apologized. You're not going. You bringing too much baggage as far as you got white boys going to court over you. You're bringing too much baggage, and we need results right now. Prophet, you ain't never heard nothing bad about a fireman. in the city of Cincinnati doing anything. When I'm voting for profit because he ain't got no baggage. He don't owe nobody downtown or on 4th Street or anywhere else in this city. I'm voting for profit because I figure he was in the military, so he got a structure like he was in the fire department, and they interact with the citizenry more better than any police officer would do in any instance. I never heard anything bad about them. And that's my comments for the day, Big Nate. I'm sorry, man. I just ran it. I went everywhere, but hey, man, that's just my thoughts, man. I just been building up. And, man, hey, keep up the good work, man. I love your show, man. Your show better than Lincoln. I'm keeping it real.
All right, brother. Thank you for the call, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you. Yeah, he was all over the place. I appreciate the kind words, man. I just want to be the best I can be. Simple as that. And inform and entertain our community. That's it. But what do you think what the brother said? He said, he went from the case of Minnesota, delivered some flows on what's happening here in the city of Cincinnati with the mayor's race, which we'll get into. We'll get more into it as we get closer and closer to that primary coming up. But again, the line is available if you'd like to share your thoughts this morning, 513-873-7134. Again, open your mind before you open your mouth, all right? Open your mind before you open your mouth. That's it. We don't have to agree. We can always agree to disagree, and that's it. That's it. Simple as that. Good morning, everybody. Tiff writes, good morning. She's in the house. Good morning to you, Tiff. She writes, good morning, all. Good morning to you. Maurice writes, yeah, that was crazy. Super crazy, man. How does any officer mistakenly pull the trigger on the taser, on the firearm, thinking it's a taser? How does this happen? Is this even possible? And wasn't there a simpler, do you remember Oscar Grant? Isn't that what happened with Oscar Grant? Isn't that the case? And you had Johannes Meserly. So Oscar Grant was a 22-year-old black man, and he was face down at the train station in, I believe it was in Oakland, California. He's face down, hands behind his back, officers around him. Officer pulls out his weapon, shoots him in the back, point blank range. He dies. Talking about, oops, my bad. I thought it was a taser. Isn't that what happened? If I'm wrong about that, then set me straight. I could be wrong about that. Maybe he didn't think it was a taser. No, everybody, it's just amazing, man. It's just the hits just keep on coming with this police shit. And that's because for far too long, we have just sat back and allowed police to do whatever they want to do with very few checks and balances. And so when there's some mistakes that happen, they keep on happening. That's one way of looking at it. You might look at it differently. But that's like me grabbing this microphone and I think it's a kitchen knife. No, it's a microphone. How do you? I just find it impossible to believe that. See, I'm wondering if she was on dope. That's what I'm wondering. Okay, dope. Oh, I'll definitely promote, sis. You already know. We support one another 100%. I'll definitely put it out there. I find it impossible to have any confidence in police when police are making these kind of decisions, these kind of mistakes. Talking about some, oops, my bad. I thought, I shot him. Yeah, sis, that's what happens when you pull the trigger on a firearm. You'll shoot somebody. If safety's not on, you'll shoot him. 24-year veteran. Let me show you again. 24-year veteran. Her name is Kimberly Porter. Apparently, she's like she was a part of the honor guard and did all these accolades. And actually, within the last 24 hours, there's people out there defending her, talking about how she's a good person and she's a good officer. Well, if she was such a good officer, how did she make this mistake? You talk about senseless violence. This is senseless violence. She was a member of the honor guard, which meaning that like they would carry the coffins of the departed police officers, I believe. And a union leader called her a dedicated, passionate, and good person. Dedicated to what? Dope? What is she dedicated to? Passionate about what? Making mistakes? Good person? Good people don't do that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're not a good officer if you're making these kind of mistakes, in my opinion. I'm sorry. But let's go to the phone. I want to get your thoughts. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Mr. Ivy. This is your West Side Connection. Drop Squad 52, the Black Knot Democrat, calling in from the left coast, the People's Republic of California, where, yes, there is a border crisis. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing great.
Mr. Ivy, it is clear that Dante Wright deserves justice, and Kim, what's her last name? Kim Palmer?
Porter.
Kim Porter needs to be charged with negligent homicide, and I would like to say lock her up, because for her being a 24-year veteran, Mr. Ivy, the only thing I could think of is that now, before I say this, I won't trigger nobody. This is not an excuse, but from what you're saying about her, that she was part of the honor guard, 24-year vet, I'm thinking, Mr. Ivy, the woman hasn't been on the street in years, and she just hadn't had enough training to be a street officer for her to do what she did. And if you look at the video, when they had him out of the car and her partner was attempting to handcuff Dante, he jerked away and tried to resist being handcuffed, but he was still standing. At that point, that's when Kim moved in to help the officer detain Dante to get the handcuff on. So all three of them were in a tight position, and that's probably why she could not see what was in her hand at the time. Because when she was saying, taser, taser, that was to let her partners know that she had deployed her taser and was going to use the direct contact instead of projecting the connectors, because you can put it directly on the person and send the shock that way. So that is the only thing, but it is clear, Mr. Ivy, that Dante Wright deserves justice. Kim Porter should be held or arrested for negligent homicide for what she did based on her 24 years of experience. And here's the last thing before I go. The Joe Biden administration, his Justice Department, need to declare a dissent decree. Maybe Iris Rowley can help with this, because it is something wrong with the Minnesota, Minneapolis police departments and their entire law enforcement. Because, Mr. Ivy, it's something wrong in Minnesota, Mr. Ivy. It's been, I don't know how many citizens in that state or in that city, in that area, that have been murdered or killed by police officers. And I really think that the Joe Biden Justice Department needs to step in and take over, because something's going on, Mr. Ivy. I don't know what it is. I don't know. It's just sad that the way it's happening in Minnesota. I'm not talking about the other places, but strictly in Minnesota. This is like the fifth incident that I can just remember in the past 4 years. So that's all I got. Rest in peace, Dante Wright, his family, his kids. I'm pretty sure that Benjamin Crump, who is now their attorney, will make sure that their family is taken care of financially for 2 or 3 generations. And something needs to be done federally. Joe Biden, sleepy Joe Biden, get your ass and your Attorney General, Merrick Garland, and whoever else, what's her name? I can't think of her name. Need to get y'all ass to Minnesota. Because, we're going into the 3rd week of the Derek Chauvin trial on top of that, Mr. Ivy. Something is wrong. So after the Derek Chauvin trial, we're going to have the Kim Palmer trial.
Porter.
Because I read somewhere, trust but verify, that it's been declared a homicide. I didn't hear it at the press conference, but it's under investigation, and I'm pretty sure that she's going to be charged and arrested because the city manager in Baltimore Center, who's in charge of the police, he was fired yesterday or relieved of his duty by the black mayor because at the press conference he said, "Oh, Kim deserves due process." I mean, again, I don't see how. Mr. Ivy, it's just frustrating, okay? About Minnesota. It is something wrong with Minnesota. That's all I got, sir. Drop Squad 52, the Black Knot Democrat. Peace.
Appreciate it. Okay, brother. Actually, he took some shots at Joe Biden, never mentioned the Republicans whatsoever. As a black Republican, you should be reaching out to the members of your own party and holding them accountable and telling them to get on board with the ideas coming from the Joe Biden administration. You act like Joe Biden can make everything happen by himself. He cannot. But overall, brother making sense this morning. What the hell? Brother making sense this morning? Good to hear it. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, what's happening, Nate? This is
Hey, what up, Brian? Welcome, brother.
Hey, calling from an undisclosed location in Cleveland. I got people on the ground in the Twin Cities, and I wanted to just make a couple of comments.
All right.
First of all, I want to talk to people about tasers and what happened after Oscar Grant was killed. It kind of forced police under pressure to come up with a policy that your taser is always holstered on your weak side and your pistol is always on your strong side, so that when you pull, your natural pull under some kind of duress will always be to your strong hand. And her strong hand had the gun on that side. You look at the video, the holster, the taser is on the weak side. So I'm not even giving her the benefit of the doubt that it was an accident. Leave aside whether it is or not. There's some accidents you don't get to make. So that's the first point. Second point is it's a big ass yellow thing that's plastic, has a different trigger, and is a different has a different feel. If you've ever held them both, it's not the same. It's not even close. It's large and it's yellow. And I don't care how about the cuss. I don't care how close you are in the scuffle. That's just not an acceptable. It's not an acceptable line. The courts watch the courts try to claim she's ambidextrous. I repeat, the gun was on the gun is on her strong side. The taser is on the weak side. All right, I want to say something else about what's happening on the ground in the Twin Cities, because there is a real, genuine groundswell uprising that is happening there, as was the case with George Floyd. Simultaneously, there is a layer of people who organize and carry out havoc outside the parameters of what the families and what the activists there and fighters there on the ground ask for and want. And it's creating a situation where instead of having the ability to organize a massive response, which is the sentiment of the many families there whose loved ones have been killed, and an opportunity for them not only to raise up the name of Dante, but to raise up the names of their own loved ones who often get forgotten in the wake of activists jumping from popular thing to popular thing, rather than rolling with families until they get their cases reopened and get these damn cops convicted. So there is a real conflict on the ground as the mass of people try to exert their will and keep getting short-circuited by a layer of provocateurs. And I'm not talking about jumping on a police car or somebody being initially angry at what's happening and having an uprising response is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who consciously, no matter what the action is, no matter what the demands are, no matter what the issue is, simply are looking to mix it up with cops. That can only be dealt with from within the movement, and it can only be successfully squashed so that the real power that we have comes to bear if honest activists fight together with the families who are making these demands and push their way into the center stage of leading these struggles forward. Okay, one final point that I want to make, and that is about the cops and the FBI. Just like they do when they're messing with us on the streets on a regular day outside of a protest, their role is always looking to escalate a situation. Now, you are a cop, fully dressed in riot gear, or with enough defense and shielding and fences and SUVs and Humvees blocking you from most harm. If one or two or 10 ignorant individuals or people who don't have the greater interest of the movement as a whole in mind hurl plastic water bottles at you, that is not escalation enough for you to deploy flashbangs, tear gas, and other methods that aren't even legal on an international scale. It's them who provoke the situation by encroaching on people's right to assemble. Do we have a right to assemble or not? I don't give a damn if it's at a police station or at a church or at a park. Do we have a right to assemble or not? And we have to fight for that. So that's part of what's going on the ground. They're provoking this situation. They're kettling people, which is putting people in a situation where they're in a phalanx and can't escape, and then beating the hell out of them, macing the hell out of them, pepper spraying the hell out of them. This is a tactic that they use. So the final thing about that is, while all this is going on, the secret police, that is the FBI and other species of these animals, are going around harassing the actual fighters, calling them up, trying to visit their houses, trying to get them to talk and be scared and intimidated. And I've told each of them that you don't have to be intimidated by when an FBI visits you. My first visit was 30 years ago for my anti-apartheid activities. And I told them to do the same thing that I tell them to do today. You don't have to talk to them. They're trying to get you to talk. They're trying to put you in a compromised situation. And they want you to feel alone. And they want you to feel like Big Brother is on you. I urge you, when this happens, first and foremost, you don't have to talk to them. Second of all, publicly explain what they did to you. They don't like it when that happens, and it makes their attempts weaker, and it makes them go after less people. Publicly talk about it, post it, share it, and don't allow them to do what they want to do to try to break up and divide the movement. So, and the final thing is there's an action in Cincinnati this Thursday at the courthouse at 6 p.m. It's a speak out so that people who want to identify with the families and their supporters in Minneapolis and also the local families here to continue to fight, you have an opportunity to come out and do that. So thank you, Nate. I didn't mean to talk that long, but I appreciate you, your patience and taking the time.
I appreciate the flows, man. Thank you for the info and the strong opinion. That's Brian, everybody. And letting us know about what's happening here in the city. That's what we all about. That's why I give the number out. Feel free. Here's the number, 513-873-7134. So how do you think this is all going to end, fam? How do you think this is all going to end? Do you think she's going to walk? I didn't know he was reaching for. That justifies her using lethal force across the board, right? Because I don't know what he was reaching for. Now, as I understand it, police searched the car, they found no weapon. I bet some of them wish they had found a weapon because that would justify what she did, mistake or not. And again, I just find it completely unbelievable that a police officer, 24-year veteran of the force, can make a mistake like that. I just can't accept that. And hold on, here in the city of Cincinnati, we almost had a similar situation. Let's go back here. A Cincinnati police sergeant I don't know what happened with the investigation. After firing a shotgun round during a standoff. Y'all might remember this. This is a police sergeant, so this ain't no rookie. And this sergeant inadvertently grabbed the wrong ammunition and fired a shotgun slug instead of, I believe it was a beanbag round. And thank God he's a terrible shot. And he missed 24-year-old Caleb Moore, who was holding a steak knife and resisting officers. Remember this? It was a big standoff. And he was having a mental health situation. Let me see if I can show you the image here. This was almost us. Is this officer still on the force? Certainly not, driving around the streets of Cincinnati. Hopefully not. It's just a problem waiting to happen. This city would have hit the roof if this would have happened. Now, I can't tell you there would have been any kind of unrest or anything like that. But I'm just telling you, it wouldn't have been like, oops, my bad. Nah, Bo. That ain't gonna work, bro. That ain't working. You're gonna have to get what's more than that. Is this officer still on the force? Anybody know this? I know there was some investigation. That's how things do. Well, because I don't know probably means he probably is. You know how the game is. Remember this situation? This was almost us. Gilligan-ass police officers. Straight from Gilligan's Island. Little buddy. He almost killed that man, talking about, oops, my bad. I thought it was a beanbag round. What? I thought you was an expert. Thought you was a law enforcement expert. Experts don't make those kind of mistakes, life and death mistakes. Or am I being unfair? Am I being unfair? In the heat of the moment, things can happen, adrenaline rushing. You tell me. I'm far more interested in what you think about it. So I bring this up to say, I want to localize it, but I always bring this up to say, like, this ain't the first time these kind of things have happened, right? What do you think? What do you think? Let's go. What do you think? Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, comrade.
Good morning, comrade. Welcome.
Thank you. Today's Tuesday, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, good. Just making sure, sometimes these days are a blur.
They are.
Stepping on kids' toys and everything.
Believe me, I know.
Oh, you feel me on that one?
Yeah, I'm doing the same thing now.
Man. Well, I did end up seeing that video of that shooting in Minnesota, the second one, I guess, right. Unfortunately. Because I heard about it, but I didn't see the video until later. So when I saw it, you know what I immediately thought? This Ray Tinson all over again, bro. He just didn't get hit in the head.
You said Ray Tinson?
This is the same scenario. Just about. I mean, if you look at the facts of it, not watching the video with you as you're rolling it, officer steps to the car. The person in the car has a warrant. The driver has a warrant, right?
Right.
That's when they got him out the car, right? Boom. Difference between this young man and forgive me, I forget the city of the Bows. There we go. He steps out the car versus staying in the car. He's getting put in the handcuffs right here. They telling him, you got a warrant. We got to take you in. And it's something that you say people shouldn't do. And I don't know why they keep doing it, but like, once your hand, it's like he tried to get back in right there. That's the equivalent of Sam DuBose, like trying to take off, like in the car. Now the officer got the gun out right there. She's saying taser, like you holding the gun, like you looking at the gun, ain't you? Like, don't you know what you hold while you saying all that? Then she realized, I shot him after she shot him. Man, she's gonna walk away from this.
You think so?
Yeah. She gonna I think she's gonna get charged because public demand in that part of the country right now, especially as hot as it is, they will charge her. Now look, they're not gonna charge her no murder. But this is not murder, guy. I don't give a damn what anybody say in the chop shop, in the chat room, anywhere. That's not murder. What I saw was not murder. I see maybe manslaughter, voluntary or involuntary, or maybe reckless. You could even go reckless homicide on this one. But I can't see murder. Murder's a stretch. And if you want to, and if anybody out here trying to play fake lawyer want to charge murder, man, prove it. Murder requires a certain mindset, and I don't know how you can get a certain mindset from that action. What we just saw. Now it's a forethought, like they had the intent to kill this black man. I mean, yeah, police officers are doing it, but I can't say all of them are intending to do it. I think a lot of them are just screwing up, trainer wise, or screwing up the protocol of how they're supposed to be doing stuff. And those screw ups can cost lives, no question. But like everything out here ain't murder. I wish people would just understand the difference to a certain level between murder and manslaughter. There's a big difference in sort of the mindset that you have to have. People are looking at actions and say, now I know what they were thinking. You're fooling yourself. You got to take the actions for what they are. You got to listen to what they're saying out of their mouth and then put it together. Just because a black man gets killed, it ain't always murder.
True.
Not always. And sometimes there are. Like Walter Scott was murder in South Carolina, where he gave the dude a head start to run and shot him in the back. Cold-blooded murder. And the jury convicted him. So don't say people ain't out here convicting cops. When it's cut and dry like that, he's done. But I don't see that with the lady. Derek Chauvin, I can see murder going down there, but it's going to be second, third degree. It ain't going to be top notch. And it was never in the first place because, first off, he's under the color of the law. He killed somebody in the capacity of his duty. I don't never see that being first degree unless it's like Walter Scott type. I'm going to give you five seconds to run. I'm going to shoot you. That wasn't this. But people just got to, I mean, for me, it's sad to see what's going on, but people got to understand what's going on. Like, police officers got to get trained better. That's all this is. Or they got to, or maybe just make a general public policy like, we're going to just if you want to run from the police, everybody can run. Let's just do that. What you think about that? If you want to run from the police, just run, and they ain't going to chase you. You want to just make that public policy?
No. I think
right, exactly.
Let me back up here. So I think that I'm open to conversations and reforms. So do I think you should chase everybody who runs for you? No, I think it depends on the context. Like if you chasing somebody accused of murder, yeah. If you chasing somebody accused of something minor, probably not.
Is forgery minor?
To me, it is.
Okay, now it could be, but it depends on the dollar amount. It could be major. It depends. I mean, like you said, I agree with you on the sense. It depends.
To me, it doesn't matter the dollar amount. There's no human life that's in jeopardy.
Well, you might not care, Nathan, but last time I checked, we don't live in socialism. We live in capitalism. So
right.
I hear what you're saying, but the dollar, people get killed over the dollar.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. So
yeah.
like, if people getting stopped by the police over the dollar. So that's the society we live in. Unless we're going to change from a capitalist society, I think that's going to stay. But I hear what you're saying, though. Should you value life over a dollar? And some people aren't going to do that, but, capitalism, probably more people do that than not. But, I mean, I hear you on reform, but, we can't just say, hey, police, you can't chase people. That's stupid, because this guy's running. He got a warrant. He starts to run. She makes a mistake, and nobody minimizes her mistake. She's going to get held accountable. She'll have a trial, but I think that's the end of it. She'll have a trial, and this will go away. I don't see no conviction. I don't see one. I see Ray Tenzin shoot Sandy Bowles in the head for doing the same thing. Basically, he just didn't get out the car. He walked away and cashed down on the city. Or on the city of Cincinnati, excuse me. For every day he didn't go to work. So we ended up paying about maybe $300,000-$400,000 plus this man's pension. And he wasn't even convicted. If he can't get convicted on that, I can't see this lady getting convicted for what she did.
Mm-hmm. But
there's a bunch of police officers there too. And especially when the guy got out the car and started fighting too, then he tried to get back in the car and run. Oh man. She's gonna be straight. She gotta take that charge though for not pulling the right hand. And don't they say you can my understanding is that you can pick the hand that you want the taser or the gun on.
Outside of my knowledge, brother, I can't really tell you.
I think somebody told me that. Like whatever hand you want your holster to fit, like if you want your gun in your right hand, taser in your left, or vice versa, you can like ask for that. So like if she making that type of mistake, that's just a straight training mistake, and she's like blacked out. But it's not criminal. What she did was not criminal.
Okay. All right, Black Russia. Anything else, brother?
Man, what else is going on? Ain't too much else going on, man. Just watching this, waiting for the mayoral race. We'll see what the results are going to be. Mm-hmm. But ain't nobody really everybody been low key.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't really seen any promotion. I've seen a couple yard signs here or there. I mean, I guess as we get closer, we only got 3 weeks, then maybe we'll hear more. I agree with you. Right. It is real low key.
And I think there's a reason for that. I think there's a reason for that is because I think everybody in this race didn't expect to be in this race.
Yeah.
I think maybe except for David Mann and maybe Prophet. Those two guys might have expected, maybe Gabby, but like Cecil Thomas, Abtab, they weren't expected to be these guys out here running. They're going to probably be top 2 just off their own name recognition. They had to put in no work until the general, which I find extraordinary, but that's just the times we live in, I guess.
All right, brother. Thank you for the call.
Yep.
Most def. That's Black Russia.
For sure.
He says she walks. That's what he says. He says she's going to walk. Let me play this again, this time with the sound all the way up so we can actually hear it. Because there are some important audio elements to this that I think that we don't want to miss. All right. So this is graphic. I'll just give you a heads up. If you haven't seen this already, this is a little bit difficult to watch for some people. I completely understand it. You're not going to hurt my feelings if you turn away and come back, or turn away and don't come back. I completely understand it. Everybody's got different sensibilities, but for us to keep the conversation going, we need to actually see it and hear it so we can talk about what we actually see. All right? Rotate. So, I mean, again, if you're just judging that, it sounds like it might have been, it seems as if it could have been an honest mistake. But how any police officer, let alone a 20-something year veteran of the police force, make a mistake like that? I find it hard to believe. Now, let's get to the more difficult stuff. Let's talk about the actions of Dante Wright. Okay, let's keep it real here, because, I like to talk about these issues from multiple sides. Is the moral of this story, don't resist arrest when you're dealing with police? That is my question for you. 513-873-7134. We cannot have an honest conversation about this without talking about the actions of this brother. I know he is recently departed. He had a family. I sympathize 100%. But we cannot have this conversation if we don't talk about his actions. If not for his actions, would he be alive today? You got a warrant. Or if you don't know you got a warrant, it don't really matter. They say you got a warrant, you're going to have to process this and figure it out. Play this all the way out, Dante. How exactly was this supposed to end positive for you? You think they're just going to give up? You think you're just going to drive away from them and then you go to your mama's house, give her car back, and the police are never going to find you? How much of the blame for this situation is on Dante Wright? I know this might be uncomfortable to some of y'all, but we have to have these kind of conversations here within our own family. If we don't, then what's the point of it? How many people believe that if Dante Wright, they got you, B, it's over. You about to go get processed, okay? You start pulling away from the cops, fighting the cops, you get in your car. These officers don't know what's in your car. They have no idea. For all they thinking, because you're surrounded, they might be thinking you got a gun. What else? What other reason would you be doing to get back into your car in a situation like that, if not to pull a weapon and try to shoot them? I think that's completely legitimate from the officer's perspective. I'm just giving you my opinion about it. They don't know what you're doing. I'll say it again, family. If Dante Wright had more peacefully allowed himself to be processed, because that's what the process was about to happen. They said it don't matter whether they stopped you for a good reason or not. There's some debate about why they even stopped him. Like it was because he had air fresheners or something like that. It don't really matter. They stopped you. They got you. You're going through the process of being detained, if not arrested. That's what's about to happen. Nothing you gonna say or do is going to stop it. Thank you. So, and you start resisting arrest. You all right? You start resisting arrest, getting volatile, being combative, doing things that would make the officers feel insecure. So yeah, the officer is dead wrong. But it never should, but you can make an argument that it never would have gotten to the point where she was pulling anything. If Dante Wright had realized this is what's about to happen. You are about to be arrested, if not detained or arrested. Nothing's going to stop that. You're not going to talk your way out of it. You're not going to pray your way out of it. You're not going to run your way out of it. You're not going to get in your mama's car and drive away from it. It's about to happen. Period. All you're going to do is compound charges. Period. Anybody feel me on that? So it's like, I see it, there's two phases to this. It's the actions, to me, this is my personal opinion, it's the actions of Dante Wright, and it's the actions of Kimberly Porter, the police officer. I think both were wrong. And one precipitated the other. Now, people can say, well, it don't matter. Brothers getting killed for not even doing anything. And you're absolutely right about that. But you know what, family? That don't apply to this situation. That's a whole different situation. In this situation, we got to deal with what we just saw. Like, do you believe that if he would have allowed himself to be detained and or arrested, that the officers would have felt the need to pull a taser? Officers don't pull a taser for every arrest. That's not true. Oh, that's not true. Don't get the line now. Let's keep it real. Let's keep it 100. They don't do that on every arrest. They don't do that every time they detain somebody. There's an action and reaction. His actions, the reaction was Kimberly Porter felt as if she had to take it up a notch and she was going to deploy her taser. Officers do it all the time. They do it all the time. They trying to detain somebody or arrest somebody. The person's being combative. They got to take it to another level so they can take control of the situation. You know it, and I know it. It is what it is. So again, family, how much of this do we have to put at the doorstep of Dante Wright himself? If he had not tried to resist and then jump into the vehicle, would this has ever happened? And I think that you can make a logical argument that the answer is no. Despite her mistake, if this brother, this man, would have more peacefully allowed himself to be detained or arrested, that this never would have happened. And she never would have been in a position to make a mistake like that. I think that's a very logical way of looking at it. Despite how you feel about police and Derek Chauvin, all that shit's over here. We talking about this case right here. And I think that's very clear. I think that's very clear, in my opinion. You are never going to win on the side of the road. It's never going to happen. Where they do that at? It is very rare. We see these videos every week. It's going to go left. It's going to go left real quick. Real quick. And I'm not telling you got to be a boy. I'm not telling you got to get on your knees and kiss an officer's ass. I'm not saying that. But there's a lot of latitude between being, sunned and what we saw, Dante Wright do. There's a lot of latitude between there. You know what I'm saying? That's just how I look at it. But I want to know how you feel about it. Let me jump inside the chop shop this morning. Keith writes, yeah, that was her cover up, kind of like stop resisting. Dale writes, what's happening in Minnesota is the same thing that was going on in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s in Cincinnati. Ray writes, police we pay to carry a gun. Stop killing unarmed citizens. Tanika writes, good morning, Nate and the Choppers. Good morning, everybody. I just want to know what you think. Dale writes, and that body cam video can clearly see the other officers next to her taser on his hip. His taser is yellow and black, not all black. She pulled her gun and held it for quite a bit, enough to see that it wasn't good for her taser, but her gun. Premeditated murder. So Daryl thinks it's premeditated murder. Huh? Okay, we can all have our opinions. Again, I'm just here for the conversation. I've told you how I feel about it. That's how I feel about it. I think the brother opened the door for the mistake that ended up taking his life. That's what I think. But what do you think? Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hello, my name is Joseph. How you doing today, sir?
Hey, how you doing, Joseph? Good morning. Where you from?
Oh, pretty good.
Where you calling from?
I live in Oklahoma. Originally from Pennsylvania. I'm an immigrant from Serbia.
Okay, welcome.
I served just a little quick back information. I served in the United States Navy for 6 years. I was a combat corpsman. Served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Okay, so I would just like to ask, and I'm only going to ask this quickly, and I'm going to get off, and I would like to actually see and hear your response. Would you please? I'm a 45-year-old white man. I do not listen to hip hop and or rap or most modern musics. I would like to know, could you please give your opinion on of the few bits of some of the rap that I have heard and some of the hip hop that I have heard? Would you mind addressing for me the cultural influence that some of these rappers and some of these celebrities within the hip hop nation, I guess you could say, and their representation of violence towards police officers, and how does that affect the Black community, and how does it affect the situation that we have in this country with the overwhelming cry of racism, of police brutality, yet I don't see roving gangs of white supremacists just gunning down civilians. I don't see, and it used to be different when we had media that was centered in local towns and you might be able to get a big city. But now we have Facebook and Twitter and all these other social medias, and you can pretty much catch anything that's happening anywhere in the world relatively in real time. So I'm seeing a lot of these police shootings, but I'm not seeing any body cam footage of a white officer just straight up gunning a brother down. I'm sorry, but I'm not seeing it. I'm seeing some that are questionable, and I'm not saying that all of these cops are good or all of them are bad. As a former serviceman, I've served with men and women of all nations, all colors, all creeds, all religions. I'm 45 years old. I'm a white atheist. And I think that you can pretty much boil structural society down to just don't be a douche. Don't be a jerk. Could you please identify with that? And I'm going to go ahead and hang up now, and I'm going to catch your response. Thank you very much for your time, sir.
All right, take it easy. Appreciate it, Joseph from OKC. Dang, that's interesting. I'm glad you called, Joseph from OKC. You called the right man this morning. Let me hit this T real quick. You called the right man. Well, first, let me just challenge a few things that you said. You said you don't see police officers just killing unarmed black men, and that's just not true. There's a long list, but one of the most prominent and most recent examples is the case of Walter Scott. He was a brother that was pulled over, routine traffic stop, and we saw the videos of him being chased by an officer, shot in the back, even though he was running from the officer and was about 20 feet away from him. And then the officer planted a gun on him. So that was a modern day case of an officer who literally chased down a black man and fatally shot him for what we don't know. Now, the officer's name was Michael Slager, who has been convicted for it. So it does happen. That's just one case. You said you don't see roving bands of white supremacists chasing down black folks. Well, let me challenge that, because another most recent case is Ahmaud Arbery. He was chased by what I would call a white supremacist who thought that he was burglarizing a home that was in the process of being built. These were not police officers. They literally chased this man, this black man, through the streets of the neighborhood in a pickup truck, and then got out and shot him in the side of his body with a shotgun. Ahmaud Arbery had committed no crimes and was no threat to them whatsoever and was running away from them. So just want to challenge two of those assumptions. But you said the role of hip hop. I'm more concerned about the role of the family than I am the role of hip hop. I think overwhelmingly what hip hop has been, even predating the advent of the internet, it was like the CNN of the streets. Through their rhymes, through their artistry, through their creativity, they were simply reporting about what was happening on the streets. Like when we look back and look at NWA, we look at it completely different now. At least some people did. I mean, I knew they were legitimate back in the day. But a lot of people are now still getting hip. Like, oh, these brothers was really trying to tell us what time it is. So I think it's a cop out. I think it's a cop out to blame hip hop. We have to blame the police. Black people have every right to have fear, reservations, to be skittish, to be hesitant, to be nervous about the interactions with police because of the history of their interactions of police in primarily the black community. So we can't blame black folks because they're simply responding to the world that they were born into. Hopefully that answers the questions there. I think I tried to go through it as much as I can remember. So no, I don't look at hip hop at all. I don't think it has no influence whatsoever. I think the biggest influence is what happens in the home, mom and dad, the values they instill, that neighborhood, that community around them. That has far more influence than the music does. You show me somebody that's being heavily influenced by the music to the point in which they're committing crimes, and I'm probably going to show you. You're probably going to show me somebody who's coming from a broken home, a bad family structure, who received less than what they needed while they were growing up. Generally speaking, I mean, we generalizing here. And again, I say, I mean, black people have every right to be skittish about their interactions with police officers. They got every right to be. And I blame the police for that. It's the police. Y'all got the power. You got the guns. I blame you. Like, if you really want to have a better relationship with black people, then build a better relationship with black people. And it stops with this nonsense and these tragedies that we see over and over and over again. Simple as that. I mean, I'm not going to blame NWA. I'm not going to blame Ice Cube. I'm not going to blame whoever might be out there today doing it. No. I blame the real. I blame the folks that was actually involved with it. So that's how I see it. And again, I just gave you just two examples, man. I mean, if you give me some more time, I can give you a longer list. So it does happen. I will say that black people get the worst of it, but what have I told you before? There's a correlation between Adrian Broner and modern day police and law enforcement. The can man. Anybody can get it. Remember that Adrian Broner? Right? The police are the same way. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get it. You can be handicapped, you can be deaf, you can be blind, you can be rich, you can be poor, you can be black, you can be white, you can be fit, you can be out of shape, you can be female. It don't matter. I've seen all kind of people get slung to the concrete. It really don't matter. But black people, because of systematic racism and That birth of a nation mentality where they think that black people are always up to something, and then they over police our neighborhoods like they're going into a war zone. We get the tip of the spear, but I'm here to tell you, anybody can get it from police. It don't really matter. Anybody can get it. Anybody can get that work. And all you got to do is just Google it. Google some videos. You'll see it for yourself. So this it's a black and police thing just because of the history of racism, systematic racism, and all these negative shit that's been out there about people that look like me and a lot of people in the audience that's completely not true. People just say that shit to legitimize over policing and starving our neighborhoods, and I can go on and on about that. But anybody can get it from law enforcement. Don't think you think you too good? Please, they will smash your window, drag your ass over the glass, slam you to the ground. If that's what they feel like they need to do, you gonna get that work. Period. Simple as that. So I hear what you're saying, Joseph. OKC. Hopefully I answered your questions. All right, 513-873-7134. Let me jump straight into this. Cass writes, let's see here. Y'all need to get this clown off your phone line. No. Let him on in. I'm not sure you speaking of. That was an 828. Not sure who that was. Was that drop? Was it? Let me see here. Sean writes, Black Russia needs to know the facts before speaking on things he is completely wrong on. I agree. Generally speaking, I'm not sure what you mean as relationship to his conversation, his call. Brian writes, prosecute and jail killer cops. Reopen all cases of police brutality. The court system is in cahoots. Mm-hmm. Let's look at the mens rea mindset of the officers. I want to know, do the police, is there going to be a toxicology report that's done on her? Was she high? Was she doped up? She might have been doped up, and that's why she wasn't able to, she made that mistake. They should do a full toxicology. They should do a full drug test on her. I want to know what was in her system when she made that mistake. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nate. This is Kathy. How are you?
Hey, Kathy. Good morning. That Kathy with a
Good
C
morning.
or a K?
It's Kathy with a K.
Kathy with a K. Okay. Good morning, Kathy.
Good morning. Colin, there were just a few things I wanted to say on this matter and just in general about what we've been experiencing with police brutality over, a period of time. So first, let me say I agree with you wholeheartedly that there are two situations here. One, the young man should not have resisted. And we have to teach our young people how to handle themselves, how to better handle themselves when they're pulled over by police, and allow us as parents to handle the fallout so that you can make it home and live another day. And two, she was absolutely wrong. You cannot have that much experience as a police officer and pull the wrong weapon. She was just wrong for that. So I don't know. I heard this morning that she had not been on the street as a police officer in a long time. So instead of her training somebody, obviously she needed to be retrained. So, hopefully the punishment will fit the crime for her because she did murder that young man. One thing in reference to him, Dante Wright, in the situation, I've worked with young Black men, youth, for over 30 some years in the juvenile justice system, in our education system, in children's services system. And it is important that we find a way to encourage young people to get into law enforcement, into the judicial system. That is the only way that we can change that. We have to equalize who is there policing us. And it makes me think back to when I was employed with juvenile court. I work detail, and I worked part-time as a probation officer, and I used to hear the unofficial cases for first-time offenders in juvenile court. Excuse me. And it was at the height of the crack cocaine epidemic. So at the time, when I think about the age of these white officers who have infiltrated the police departments, law enforcement throughout the country, who are the same age as a large majority of young Black men who are incarcerated or being killed by those who are their peers. Those white officers were being encouraged and prepared to go into law enforcement, while our young Black men and women of the same age during that time period were dealing with parents who were on drugs, or them having to fend for themselves, or being raised by grandparents who, you know, didn't or couldn't have or didn't have the capacity or the ability to think about, you know, encouraging their futures. So you have a whole generation or two of young people who could have been law enforcement officers or in, you know, some type of authority position at this point in their life. So now it's like, how do we fix this? The only way we have to equalize that. And one of the thoughts that I had was to have retired officers, you know, and I know that there is a cadet program with Cincinnati Police Department, but I think that needs to be ramped up throughout the country for retired Black officers to come out of, you know, retirement, so to speak, and encourage, you know, young Black kids, young adults to go into law enforcement, to help them trust law enforcement and change the trajectory of that. And another point is that looking at just a little bit of reprieve we've been able to have in the George Floyd case, in this case with Dante Wright. And I'll even say at the point of our former president possibly continuing to be charged for all of his crimes. You look at what has been that point for us to even have a little bit of hope that these people are going to be held accountable. It's Black folks in those positions. The mayor of what's the city? Is it Brooklyn? What is it? In there, where Dante Wright. The mayor is a Black man. In the case of Chauvin, his immediate supervisor is a Black man. The district attorney in New York is a Black woman. That is the way that we make change. We have to encourage our young people to go into these positions that are going to equalize. So, and as far as defunding the police, I don't think that we need to defund. We need to reallocate funds. There should be, in every police department across this country, there should be a staff who handles mental health issues, mental health professionals, a social worker who goes out on these calls with police to help either de-escalate or to help police understand when somebody has autism or they need to stand down because there's some mental health issues going on. That would stop a lot of this. There's just so much that needs to happen. And to start at the federal level, there needs to be blanket legislation, in terms of change in policing across this country. But it has to come from the federal level. And I have to say, here in Cincinnati, the collaborative agreement with Sister Iris Rowley and that organization is a great start, to take that nationwide. So, I just hope and pray that we get in where we fit in so that we can stop burying our young Black men.
Kathy, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
That's Kathy checking in. Appreciate the calls this morning. A lot of people have opinions about this kind of shit. I get it. I'm here for it. Let's talk about it. There's my number at the bottom of the screen, 513-873-7134. I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Kathy. So let me take you from the top. We're talking about what happened in Minnesota. We're talking about the death of Dante Wright, and we're talking about the news, breaking news that is being reported. The early reports is that Kimberly Porter, who is a 24-year veteran of the Minneapolis Police Department, mistakenly fired from her firearm, thinking it was a taser. I played the video for you when she says, taser, taser, fires a shot. Then she's like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, shit. I shot him, right? What? So let's run with it's a mistake. I think even if it's a mistake, it just makes me wonder, how can something like that happen and you're a 24-year veteran? Like, how do you make a mistake like that, right? And then two, sometimes when you make mistakes, your ass got to go to jail. Made a mistake. We get it. But you cost somebody their life. You got to deal with the time, whatever that might be. I'm in favor of her being charged logically, reasonably, and then dealing with the fullest extent of whatever the criminal penalty is. Do I think it's straight up murder? I don't think so. I agree with Black Rush on that case. I think that would be hard. Again, I'm not saying I'm a lawyer. It's far smarter people with a lot more experience than me when it comes to the legal game. I'll let them share their opinion. But for my opinion, I don't see that. The other part about it is the actions of Dante Wright, resisting arrest. It begs the question, if Dante Wright never tried to resist arrest and tried to get back into his car, would he have been in a situation where Kimberly Porter was even making a decision about the firearm or the taser? You tell me. You tell me. To me, it's quite clear. It's quite clear. Clarence writes, Minnesota says so many scenarios of Black folks, like having air fresheners in your car to make a car smell good, is a reason for you to pull me over. Like, that's bullshit. I agree with you. That is bullshit. Okay? It's absolute bullshit. It's probably just, something they came up with to justify stopping people that they want to stop. Stopping Black and brown folks. You probably know that's what it is. Okay? But that's a separate issue. Once they stop you and they pull you over, then we go to that next level. It's all about what you're going to do then. There might be some people out there thinking like, oh, Nate, I ain't going to get on my knees and I ain't going to do all that with no officer. Listen, I give this advice. This is the same advice I would give to my son. It's out of love. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of warriors out there in our community. I get it. I got that warrior spirit myself. I understand it. I'm nobody's bitch. No man, no woman. Nobody, right? I get it. Understand that. But I'm not asking you to be somebody's bitch. What I'm asking you is to come home safely and deal with that situation in a way in which you can win. I want you to win in these situations with police. And I can't intellectually tell you that you're winning if you decide to open that door and go that route. I can't tell you that. In fact, you're losing. You're not only going to potentially lose your life, you're going to lose your liberty. And I want to see my people win. That's the spirit in which I give you this advice. I'm not telling you to get on your knees and kiss the officer's ass. I'm not telling you to call him, yes, sir, and act like you a boy, you a son for this man. I would never suggest that. What I'm saying is be smart. Be smart. That's all I'm saying. Be smart. You know what I'm saying? Some temporary inconvenience could lead to long-term you winning. That's all I'm saying. Be smart about it. How do you win in a situation like that? I've had interactions with officers was on some straight up dumb shit. Yep, I dealt with it. Asking me a whole bunch of stupid shit about, oh, I know you ain't got insurance. You don't even know me, sir. Dude, you don't know me? What you mean I don't have insurance? Then when they run my name, they realize, oh, he has no record at all. Oh, sorry, sir. Now you want to say sorry, sir. Before you was racially profiling me. I get it. But we got to be strong in the moment. We got to be calm in the moment so we can win overall. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to win on the side of the road. You're not. I'll say it again. Every Black man and woman has to be prepared to go to jail today. You have to be prepared to get processed, to be inconvenienced today. All that screaming and yelling and begging and pleading means I ain't doing none of that. You ain't gonna never see me doing that shit. Because number one, I ain't gonna talk too much. I'm not gonna give you something you can use against me. If we going to get processed, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I'll be out real soon. And then if I've got some kind of legal alternatives, I'll be taking them. And then I can win. But I'm not going to let this circumstance put me in a better situation and you was wrong in the beginning. That's not smart. That ain't smart, people. That ain't smart, people. Nah, I ain't going to let you do that, B. I'm not going to let you get off the hook like that. You know what I'm saying? We can't let these officers off the hook. I've seen all kind of videos. People start acting up. I ain't do nothing wrong. I agree. You ain't do nothing wrong. So what? It don't matter whether they right or wrong. What matters is right now you are about to get processed. And you can either do this the easy way or you can do this the hard way. And the hard way is all going to be on you, not them. All you're going to do is give them all the evidence they need to make it seem like you were the problem from the very beginning. Does that sound smart? Sound like some dumb shit to me. So be smart. We got to be smart out here. And you got to be prepared to get arrested. I'm prepared today to get arrested. I'm going to go down there, get processed, and I'll be out to do the show tomorrow. I'll tell y'all about it. I ain't begging. I ain't pleading. I ain't arguing. I don't have to do none of that. Why would I do all of that? I'll be out. It's all good. And then if I have a legal recourse, I'll contact legal professionals. If I got a case, then I may pursue the case. Simple as that. Simple as that. Just yesterday, we was talking with the director of CCA. You live in the city of Cincinnati. I feel like I've been done wrong. I'm going to contact them. Start that ball rolling and simultaneously contact my lawyers. I might have me a case. Oh, I called me a case today. What? Shit, you done did me a favor. Thank you. Man, did your boy a favor. So you can try it if you want to. Go right ahead. Can't stop you. You can't stop what somebody else is going to do. You can't stop that. It's how you react to it that really, really matters. Police pull you over some bullshit. Okay, they pull you over some bullshit. What you going to do now? You going to cry and complain and call them names and talk about Emmett Till? That shit don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing. If I was an officer, it wouldn't mean shit to me. So we got to be smart. And Dante Wright was not smart. Now, here's the next level to the question, okay? Do we need to start recognizing that there's a real fear in elements in our community about police? And the fear is so legitimate and so strong that sometimes citizens in the moment will react purely out of fear. So let's go back to what we saw with Dante Wright. Was he reacting purely out of fear? Because like right now, everybody's watching what happened with Derek Chauvin. Police don't like to see this. They don't like to hear this. But the reality is we looking at all of y'all like that. Y'all all Derek Chauvin to us right now. We don't know what's going to happen when we get pulled over. We don't know if we're nice, whether we're going to get it reciprocated. We don't know who's stopping us. We don't have no idea. You know, we had a caller earlier who wanted to, he was asking about the connection between media, popular culture, rap, and does that impact people's interactions with police? Okay, well, let's stay there then. Same deal. All these videos out here, police treating black and brown people wrong. That's got to have an impact. Black and brown folks don't know what's going to happen when they get stopped. We have no idea. It could be a broken tail light. I could have forgotten to put my tags on. I don't know how the officer is going to respond to me when we get there. I have no idea. I got no idea. In this country, you don't necessarily have had to have done anything wrong to end up shot and dead by police officers. It has happened multiple times. So do we need to create a legal construct or some type of legal recognition that there is a real and legitimate fear that people have about even interacting with police. Like, I know a lot of black folks don't ever want to even be around police. Not because they hate them, it's because they scared as fuck of you. They don't know what you might do. They don't know what you might do, what you might say, who you gonna flip on, what's the problem. They have no idea. So do we need to recognize that? Is that a real thing that can be used in court to explain the actions of somebody who might be going through the process of being arrested, and then they decide to try to run away because they don't know if they're going to get the George Floyd treatment? Again, I'm here for the conversation. You tell me. 513-873-7134. Okay? 513-873-7134. You tell me what you think. Does this already exist to my lawyers out there, people in the legal system? I don't know. But there is a real fear that some people, probably melanated people more than others, have about even interacting with police because there's just too many bad apples out there. And police have to recognize that. It's way more bad albums than there are rap verses that you might say are anti-police. Way more. We don't know what's going to happen. So somebody's dealing with police. It sounds like it's some dumb shit. It makes them want to run away. They're trying to get away from you. In that video with Dante Wright, he was trying to drive away, not into them. He's trying to drive away from them. Why? Why would he do that? He might have been, I won't say probably, he might have been scared to the point where he wasn't even thinking. Now, is that legitimate? Does that sound plausible to you? Is that a real thing to you? I don't know. I want to hear your thoughts on it. Good morning. Welcome to the show. Yo.
Hello? Oh, hey, Nate, how you doing?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, brother. Who am I speaking with?
This is Sean.
Hey, what up, Sean? Good morning.
Good morning. Yes, a situation like this, and Nat Turner had brought up a great point. I think there is a thing called trauma that all of us as African-American people, brown people, do experience. And in recent events, African-Americans do have the right to be timid and afraid of the police. And it's the police, it's their responsibility to demonstrate that, hey, we're not all against you, right? But that hasn't been done. There hasn't been any kind of peace effort between the police and the African-American community. It's not. So when you do pull over a young man and you're getting ready to arrest him, the trauma of all the past events concerning Philando Castile and all these other gentlemen and women have been murdered by the police and gotten off. There is this I don't know, this may be the day. We all feel that way, as you just mentioned before. So for me personally, I make an attempt to use as much as emotional intelligence as I can. It doesn't mean they're not going to kill me. It doesn't mean that I'm going to get home to my family. But at least if something does happen to me, hopefully in the court of law, which has told us many times as well, will demonstrate that, hey, this guy did everything that the cop asked him to do, and they still killed him. So that's my piece. That Turner brought up a great piece about what if I was mentally ill, or what if I had a developmental disability? And that's where the training needs to really be placed when it comes to law enforcement. They need to understand that there's individuals out here who do not know how to handle their presence in general. And you have individuals that are mentally ill when they see those sirens and they're pulled over, they may be in a state of psychosis. And so a police officer needs to professionally handle that situation well. For instance, there was a situation in Philadelphia, I think that was sometime last year, where the gentleman came out, and he was mentally ill. He had a knife on him, right? But he could have been tased instead of just shot to death, right? So that's where the training needs to really
the law enforcement needs to know like how to handle specific situations. But going back to the trauma, the gentleman, Mr. Wright, I felt like he shouldn't have. When you're afraid, all right, it's instinctively embedded in all of us. When we're afraid, we either remain still or we flee, right? That's our primal setup. And I can't say. I wish that he would have just, remained calm. But like you said, I don't know what's going on in his mind for him to say, I'm about to get out of here. I need to get to my children. I need to get to my mother. I need to get her. I don't know. But I do believe most of us, and I believe most African Americans do demonstrate a lot of emotional intelligence when it comes to dealing with the police or police. But police officers, they have this like trained fear towards African American people. Like, they look at us as like, well, when we're dealing with a black person, we're more threatened than we're dealing with a white person, which is wrong when they're in. So I think there needs to be a conversation. I'm not saying that what these officers have done, I'm not justifying none of their actions, but there needs to be a conversation to say like, hey, don't always stop a black woman and a black man and think that you're automatically in danger. You know what I mean? Use the same kind of soft approach as you use with our white counterparts, because many of them do all kinds of things. I've seen a white guy threaten a police officer like he was going to do something to him. The cop reasoned him. He reasoned with the guy, and the guy is still alive today. So I felt like with the gentleman, Mr. Wright, even though I wouldn't have tried to get back in my car, I still felt like they could have reasoned with him. They could have shown him like, hey, man, we're not here to hurt you. You do have the warrant out for your arrest. Well, let's talk. Go ahead and sit in the car. Let's talk about this. Instead of making the situation so escalated to the point where the guy is afraid and he thinks he's about to be killed, and then he's trying to flee the situation, which ends up getting him killed anyway. So that's just my point. Thank you for taking my call. And hey, law enforcement, they're just as responsible. They're just as responsible when it comes to keeping us safe. We have to keep ourselves safe, absolutely. But they're just as responsible for keeping us safe because they're servants. They serve us. So that's just my part, Nate. Thank you for taking my call, brother. Be well.
Hey, Sean. You too, brother. Have a great day, man. Thank you for making the call. That's Sean right there. Appreciate the calls. Again, you got an opinion. I'd love to hear it. Let's talk with us. This is the last honest place in Cincinnati media, the Nathan Ivey Show, brought to you by Sin Digital Media. What's our mission? It's simple. Amplify black voices in the greater Cincinnati area and beyond. We are just getting started. If you're just tuning in, check out our Facebook page for some of the podcasts that we're doing right now. And I guarantee you'll see something that you like. Hit us with a like and a share. It means everything. Thank you in advance, family. I appreciate you. So again, I'm trying to, unpeel the onion, so to speak, and look at this from multiple different ways. Number one, let me take it from the top. I think that the officer was wrong. How do you make this mistake? It blows my mind. It's even happened here in the city of Cincinnati, where we had a police sergeant who was dealing with a standoff situation with someone who was having a mental health situation. And this fool loads up live shotgun rounds, thinking it was a beanbag. How do you make this kind of mistake? And you're a sergeant. And is this sergeant still in the police force? Something tells me he is, because I haven't received any information other than that. We got a Gilligan in the mist. And having a Gilligan in the mist is never a good thing. Never a good thing. They're going to sink our battleship. They're going to scuttle our boat. They're going to dash our hopes every single time. They're going to disappoint us every single time. This is some straight Gilligan shit. Oops, my bad. I didn't mean to shoot you. I thought I was going to taser you. What? Dante Wright. If he had not been resisting arrested, would it have even gotten to the point where Kimberly Porter, the officer involved, was even in a position to make a decision? At this point, I feel like no. I feel like he is responsible for what happened to him on some levels. Okay. Other part about this is the trauma that black people have had, black and brown people, I just say non-white folks, in general have had to deal with in this country. We can't keep overlooking that. We can't act like that's nothing. We can't act like that's not a real thing. Okay? You know, it makes me wonder, why is his brother trying to run? Was he just traumatized by what we're seeing in popular culture? All these videos, the Derek Chauvin trials going on right now, knee on the neck, other officers watching, nobody can do anything about it. You know, if you're a police officer and you really care about the community, you'll be paying attention to this conversation and trying to learn. The easiest thing in the world to do is just say, oh, Black folks just don't like police. Nothing could be further from the truth. It's intellectually dishonest. Actually, you're trying to lie about the situation. You're not really dealing with the real. Trauma in the Black community as it relates to dealing with police is real. It's real. We can't keep overlooking that. Like, why didn't you call the police? Why would I call the police, right? Who knows what's going to happen? There was a video out there right now, and I can't tell you I know all the details about it, but it was a Black couple that was dealing with a white dude. I don't know all the situation. The white dude pulls a gun on them. The husband notices it, gets up, and is like struggling with the dude to protect himself and his lady, right? Who would do anything different? I know I would. You done, right? He's struggling with the dude, subdues the dude, and is holding the dude, waiting for the police. His wife is afraid to call the police. He's like, call 911. She's like, do I want to call 911? Will that make it better or will it make it worse? Finally, they call 911, and when the police goes up, the wife runs out there and is screaming, don't shoot my husband. He didn't do anything wrong. She's trying to explain. What does that tell you? It goes to tell you what I said earlier. We don't know who's going to show up when we call the police. We have no idea. We don't know if it's going to be a good officer or a Conan barbaric officer. We have no idea. It don't matter who's doing what or wrong or whatever. We have no idea how law enforcement is going to respond when they show up. It's just the luck of the draw. You might get a good officer. You might get a bad officer. And we can't keep overlooking that like that's not a real thing. That's like a real thing, right? But you tell me what you think. You see my number there. Let me see here. David writes, what rock does that OKC caller lives under? I mean, I didn't think there was anything basically offensive. You know, he might have been operating. The brother was asking a question. He was asking a question. The man was asking a question. I wanted to answer it legitimately. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of folks that's outside of our family. They don't really know us like that. They don't really have interactions with us like that. They don't know. So, you know, it's incumbent upon people like me to take the time to take it seriously and try to educate and give a real serious answer. That's what my attempt was. Hopefully I did that. That was Joseph, I believe. Let me see. Arnell writes, get him, Nate. Who am I getting? Who did I get? I don't know. Politically Petty writes, stalker alert, drippish. You wrong for that. Okay, good morning, Toy. She writes, a jerk offering advice to not be a jerk. Here, I thought it would be a genuine question. He sounds like more of a creative troll. Okay. Cass writes, Joseph, don't make me call in and cuss you out. I get we are all entitled to your opinion, but we are not about to explain white supremacy to you because you're choosing to pick and choose what you pay attention to based on music you don't even listen to. Bye. It's called the Chop Shop for a reason, Joseph, and anybody else. I get it. Everybody get it. It's just, there's no reason to hold your tongue here, and people don't hold their tongue about anybody. Now, we want to keep the facts straight, and we don't want to make anything personal. I ain't on no personal. I don't have a personal beef with no man or woman in this world. It ain't personal. But it's just, it's the nature of the internet. You're going to get a serious review of your opinions on this show via the choppers. It is what it is. Yeah, I tried to educate them. Tabitha writes, thank you, Nate, for your elegance of knowledge. Sean writes, black men and women need to start building our nation by getting married and raising our children under the law of God. I agree with all of that. I'm doing that now. The number one, if you're a black person or a person of color or a melanated individual, to me, the number one thing you can do is to start with your family. That's what it starts with. You know what I'm saying? If you have kids, you got a huge responsibility. If you have no kids, then you got a huge responsibility to your spouse. That's it. You know, you may not be the kind of person that goes out to the streets, or you may not have a lot of money to make donations. You may not be a talk show host or an activist, but you can build wealth inside your own family, right? And do the right thing inside your own family. That's enough. Shit, that's heavy enough, but that's the least at the same time. This crap out now is not hip hop. Maurice is all hip hop. I love it all. I love the modern day hip hop. There's a lot of new artists out there that I love. I love all of it. I love all of it. Jerica writes, the role of hip hop. Let's discuss the influence that these police shootings have on us as people when we encounter the police, which I'm getting into now. What time was these comments? 8:47. Oh shit, I'm almost like 40 minutes behind. Let me catch up. Blame white folks for wanting to be the chosen people. Dear white people, you're not. Pamela writes. So what was Columbus listening to on his way to America? Good point, sis. Good point. Jesse writes, did my man feel that way when the Sirs were being slaughtered in his home country? Facts. It's just funny how when it comes to black folks, we just like rudderless children, just waiting for the Pied Piper called hip hop to tell us what to do, right? No. Hell no. Nah. Tracy writes, John Crawford and Tamir Rice were minding their own black business. OKC. Tell them, sis. Absolutely. All day, every day. You right about that. John Crawford wasn't bothering no one. Tamir Rice was just playing in the park. Great points. Because, you know, some people think, well, if you keep your nose clean and you don't do anything, you don't have to worry about any crimes. I think that was Jason Whitless. Y'all can call him Whitlock if you want to. I refer to him as Jason Whitless because the man sounds like he has no wit whatsoever. And now he's doing his own thing somewhere. Toy writes, the only way to survive a law enforcement encounter is to not have one. What you on that? I understand. Jermaine writes, they say some have premonition that they are going to die. That young man's flight or fight sensory kicked in. This is a physiological response which appears as resistance. Sean writes, cops tend to target poorer areas more so than wealthier areas. Many poor whites are victims of police brutality as well. Absolutely. They will sling your ass at a concrete like lickety split if in fact they feel like the situation calls for it. You know, the issue of the way the police deal with us is not just a black issue. That's one of the biggest mistakes that people keep making. This is a citizen issue. This is about how we want to be policed across the board. I don't care who you are and what you look like. But because of systematic racism, our neighborhoods get the focal point. You know, some officers feel like they're going to a war zone because they're driving through Avondale and all this other nonsense, man. I got no respect for it. I got no respect for anybody with any kind of power that abuses it. None whatsoever. Let me see. Nat writes, the white man does no research and expects the black person to do all the work for him. Typical. Maurice writes, facts, Nathan. I saw a video of a white guy who's on the ground and did as the police said to, and they killed him. Yep. You talking about the brother, the white dude that was in the hallway at the hotel? Yep. Shot by that dude did not have to die. He was scared out of his mind. Officer's like, if you reach one more time, I'm going to shoot you. He reached again to pull his pants up. This man loaded him full of blood, full of lead, and walked. It was a white dude. Loaded this man. He was a family man too, and I don't know what it was. He was doing something dumb in a hotel, but he didn't really have to die. American Skin. Anybody watching Them? Anybody watching this show? It's a series called Them. My daughter kind of hit me onto it. It's called Them. It's on Amazon Prime. It is. I only watched like one episode, maybe 1.5 episodes. It's deep. It's deep. I'm gonna reach out to Donnie and see, because I know she watches a lot of shows and reviews on the show. I wonder if she's seen that. It is deep, spilling like white folks and black folks and race. It is deep. I still don't know what's going on. It's got like a Jordan Peele type of feel to it, but I don't think he's involved with it. Jerica writes, that was a sidebar, by the way. So the cops get to give excuses as to why they kill us? Apparently so. Greg writes, Grand Risings, Nate and the Choppers. Absolutely. Charlie Winburn's with us. He writes, that's right. Hamilton County Treasurer. He was on with us yesterday and talked about his 10-point plan. And there's a bit article in the Inquirer today talking about it as well. So he made all the media rounds. Appreciate you. Maurice writes, I agree with this caller. TNT writes, they had his information. They had 3 or 4 cops to actively pursue him, but for a misdemeanor warrant, they should have let him go. They might have let him go. We don't know. But you know how the cops do. They like to detain everybody and sit you in the car when they go back and figure everything out so they can, minimize the risk to themselves. You know how this goes. You know what they do. We don't know. They might have. Brian writes, nobody would ask a medic how they felt if they killed somebody by doing a blatantly improper thing. Medics held to a higher standard than police. Tabitha writes, hey, little one. I think it was my son came in. That's my boy right there. Greg writes, I just tuned in, so Mr. started a call when I heard yesterday that the police chief in that city in Minnesota said the killing of Mr. Wright was an accidental discharge. My first thought was, miss me with that bullshit. Pardon my French. Anthony writes, I'll have to say mistakes do happen. I was on a training exercise in Germany. We were doing a night run and a tank team fired on another one. They melted that tank down to the ground and killed the 3 servicemen inside. Really? Damn. When placed in a fearful or uncomfortable situation, fight or flight is a real thing, people. I agree with you. It is. Irish writes, the public safety high school voter said yes to this. It needs funding now. Greg writes, hey, little one. Yeah, my son must have came in at that point. Brother Lawrence writes, this caller is the devil. She spent 30 years failing our people. Now she wants the youth to follow her failed footsteps. Brother, he don't spare his tongue for no. Everybody get it. I love it. Brent writes, I agree with Kathy on why more black people are not police officers. A lot of black people see officers mistreat people that look like them. The distrust of police officers is founded in facts. Leonard writes, and good morning to you, Leonard. Change policing, ? Young people don't want to live like the older generation. The law teaches you the same mindset. Bullying. Maurice writes, right. Who says we have to be thugs and killers? ? Who says we have to be criminals? ? Racist white folks are afraid of us being in law enforcement. TNT writes, this idea that I can't let him get away, I'll kill him before I let him get away, is the same mentality that killed Sam DuBose. He did not kill him because he feared for his life. He killed him because he did not want him to get away, dead or alive. You're right. I hear a lot of people saying they fear us. I'm not sure that it's fear or it's not seeing us as human, less than. And so when you're less than, I can do anything to you. It's more about power and control in some cases than fear. Now, we talked about Sam DuBose. To me, Sam DuBose died because the officer, I didn't want to get into it, but I think Ray Tensing is alive and well and free right now. That man should be in jail right now. Lawrence writes, she doesn't know these murders are happening under the Biden administration. Tracy writes, I would never encourage my boys to be police officers. Heaven forbid they accidentally kill somebody. FOH. Fuck out of here, she writes. Kamara, I hope you, listen, I hope you're okay, sis. She's hopping off. Kathy is all over the place. Just because the mayor is black does not mean that she has absolute power to fire and prosecute the police officers. She has an oversimplistic view, is I think of what he's trying to say. Arnell writes, it goes back further than Biden. Cut that nonsense out. I agree, it does go back further than Biden. George Floyd happened under the Trump administration, but let's not let facts get in the way of BS. Maurice writes, our community should be able to screen everyone trying to be a cop before they become a cop. They do, don't they? I mean, it may not be the community per se. The sister's on point. Also, our young black men need to stop listening to that rap music that's telling them not to be policemen and sell dope and kill each other. Is rap music really telling black men to do that? I'm not sure. What rap music is that, Cleopatra? I listen to rap music, hip hop, still do. I don't like all music, but I like a lot of different types of music, right? Hip hop never made me do that because I had male role models. I had people that I couldn't disappoint in my life. I couldn't disappoint my mother. I couldn't disappoint my father. I couldn't disappoint my grandparents. I couldn't disappoint my uncle. They poured too much into me. You know what I'm saying? They put too much into me for me to do some dumb shit. Nah, I can't do that. Let's go back to the phones. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, Nathan. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Good morning, fam.
No, this is Mr. Wolf,
Mr. Wolf. Okay. Good morning, Mr. Wolf.
aka Bay Old Wolf. All you men need to call me Mr. Wolf. The women can call me Bay Old Wolf. When you men call me Bay, we're gonna have a problem. Now listen, I thought your flow this morning was elite.
Appreciate that.
You feel me? Talking about this. First of all, that brother's name Dante, and it's spelled like Dante Culpepper. I'm looking like y'all naming kids after this nigga, Dante Culpepper, like the most average of average quarterbacks before Andy Dalton. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, listen, it's like, bruh, I mean, there's a part of me that is like, it's unfortunate he's dead, but I don't know if I feel sorry for him. Like, why did you try to run? You know, you snitch, you know, you obviously you're not paying attention to what's going on. In these days and times, that's not flinching and going off, going berserk around police is not the move. As you so eloquently said, you ain't got to beat nobody's bit. Maintain your gravitas, but you don't need to be, but you got to quit being scared to get, to do 48, 72 hours in the joint. Yes, it's extraordinarily uncomfortable and inconvenient to do, but in order to preserve your life, you might have to. You know what I'm saying? Now, that doesn't excuse the officer. What she did was so abhorrent that it should be an immediate fire. You don't get to accidentally kill someone, police or not, you don't get to accidentally kill someone and maintain a state pension. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, baby, you got to go immediately. Like, no review. And that's what I'm saying. I was so disgusted yesterday listening to Gabe Davis, who I like. I've met him before. I like him. But, like, all these review boards, like, what the fuck is there to review? 90 days, it shouldn't take even 90 days. It should take a week at the most. Y'all reviewing too much. You've been in front of more pictures and panel boards than anybody. It gets tired. We're done with reviews, but at the same time, we're done doing scary shit in the hands of police. Once they got you, it's on. Or maybe I should say it's over. You know, I hate to use the phrase, but for lack of a better term, the jig is up. Settle down. You're going downtown or wherever your local county jail is, and you got to handle that. Because for me, running from the police is kind of a selfish move, because now you're going to make the block and neighborhood hot. Because they're going to come through looking for you periodically. You know, so you just got to handle that. You know, as long as it's a nonviolent misdemeanor, there's a chance you'll be out in a couple hours on your own recognizance. If it's a municipality like Cincinnati, Hamilton County, that's, rather large and getting larger, they ain't got space for you. They're gonna process you and turn you right back around. But your warrants, you gotta handle that. You running from the cops, you're making everything else hot, making everybody else uncomfortable because you want to be a jerk off. You feel me? But at any rate, I thought that white man had a point. Nobody just didn't like it because a white man said it. Rap, I've told you for years, rap music is very detrimental to black people, especially at this point. You know, the last 6 rappers who got killed, I never heard of them until they got killed. But everybody's preaching, drug use, prostitution, this $40 motif that's going around to young black folks, and just everything else that's just not conducive to a productive society. I'm sorry. Hip hop in itself, a few people got rich, got crazy rich. Jay-Z, Ice Cube, Dre, Diddy, but for the most part, the community suffered. And y'all just didn't like hearing that because it came from a white dude. Yeah, he said he doesn't listen to it, but I mean, I heard a little bit of his phone call, but that was a lady once told me that. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you another story about her too. She once told me that. She's like, sometimes we hear stuff and just don't like it because it came from a white person, but it's actually true. And matter of fact, she has two sons, a ninth grader and a boy who's about to graduate college. The boy who's about to graduate college is 6'6", goes to Ohio State, lives in the Columbus suburb of Westerville. And she told him, now they think about it, because they don't, she's a single mom. She told them, hey, you get in contact with the police, give them whatever information they're asking for. Don't sit there and lengthen the encounter. Get it over with. She's because her son was jammed up by the police up there, and something about they were asking for his address, and he told them, I don't feel comfortable giving you my address. And she said she told her son, like, no, they asked for your address, give it to them. They just trying to see how drunk you are. Because they already have your license, so they know where you live. You see what I'm saying? So that's all I got, B. I was just impressed by your exquisite flow. I believe we came up with this ethos the Monday after Sandra Bland was killed on a phone call while you were working where you were working. And I called in, and we both just, during the phone call, we both came up with that ethos of, listen, sometimes you're just going to have to be able to, you got to be prepared to sit down for 2-3 days and to handle it, because scrapping at the scene, causing a scene on the sidewalk in your car ain't going to help you. And so I feel responsible for your elite flow today. And that's all I got, B. It's been real. I had fun. We'll talk again soon. Ow!
he is funny as hell. Talking about something. Mr. Wolf, a.k.a. Beowulf. Interesting flows, though. Interesting flows. I like to get, he said, Joseph from OKC said some real shit, and people just don't want to hear it because he's a white dude. Tell me what you think. Hey, listen, family, just take a second. I mean, we're about 20 minutes left in the show. Just take a second to like and share the stream. Share it on Facebook to as many places as possible. Maybe it's not on your personal page. I get it. That's completely up to you, what you post and you share on your page. That's Mark Zuckerberg's page that he lets you feel like it's yours, really. But you know what I'm trying to say. Just let people know about the show as we expand and grow the show. I want everybody to know where we are and what we're doing. Also, you got my Cash App and also my PayPal up. If you feel as if you like this kind of content, you like the direction that this show and this media platform is going, then perhaps you want to support with a donation. One-time donation. Feel free to do so, and I'll say thanks in advance. My link tree is in today's description. It'll take you back to my website and Twitter and the Patreon page, wherever I'm at online, you can hit that link and go everywhere. Okay. All right. Let me go back to this. Angela's in the house. Angela is in the house. She writes, that's exactly what they want. Blacks to be afraid. Kind of like in slave times, you cowered when the powerful white folks came around. Yeah, ain't nobody doing that shit. Some days it's over. Them days is over. But, Fame says something I strongly believe. You got to be ready to sit down for 48, 72 hours. You should be mentally prepared to do that every time you leave the house. I'm talking about to black and brown people. You should be mentally prepared to do that time. It could happen. Rather than getting all paranoid and doing something strange or dangerous on the scene of a situation in which you've been stopped by a member of law enforcement. It's not going to end well in most cases. And you still going to get processed and do those 48, 24, 48, 72 hours. Get ready for it. Like he said, it's extremely uncomfortable. You're going to be agitated. You're going to be pissed. But that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Let's be real with it. Tabitha writes, how did Kim Porter's last arrest go? Was he black or white? How does she handle that? Kim Porter, I don't know. Kimberly Porter is the officer, or Kim Potter. I'm sorry, we've been saying Porter. It's Potter. Kim Potter. Not Porter, but Potter. She is, I don't know. I think it's a fair question though. C. Smith or Crystal writes, yeah, I can't even go to Crystal with my family because the police are there. I don't do police. I don't do police. A classy one writes, I don't think she will go to jail. Irish writes, no, just recent, but history has shown us as well. Queen Maxine writes, and good morning to you, Queen Maxine. She writes, they hire any kind of racist to police people who they hate. Therefore, they should not be allowed to do certain things, but what? Angela writes, on the flip side, consumption of the snuff flicks and audio only serves to traumatize and reinforce fear. I hear you. I know there's a lot of people that feel that way. I don't feel that way. I don't. To me, it's a matter of education. But I know people feel that way. RBG Tech 16 writes, capophobia is the fear of getting arrested for no reason. Capiophobia. Is that capiophobia? TNT's in the house. She writes, my child was terrified of police and didn't realize how frightening she was until I noticed how she hides behind me when she sees them. You can't remove that baked in fear and then expect teenagers to act reasonably after a damn talk. They are scared, but they know they want to live. And running will always be an option for an immature mind. Police need to be professionals, not murderers. This young man was 20 years old. His brain is not fully developed. Your brain does not fully develop until you're about 25, 26. So we're dealing with an individual with an underdeveloped brain. Was that a factor in this? It sounds reasonable. It could be. Iris writes, pepper spray would have worked. But see, the thing about the pepper spray is that you ever sprayed pepper spray before? I carry some with me. You know what I'm saying? I will burn your eyeball straight out your socket, and I ain't gonna feel bad about it one bit. Man, you got to make sure you know which way the wind is blowing, because you can spray that and get a face full of it. It's terrible too. I recommend to everybody. Yeah, I recommend to everybody. You know, you get into it with somebody, you trying to mind your business, they just won't let it go. You hit them with that in the face, it's a wrap. And then you got two options. You can stomp them into a blood puddle, or you can let them breathe and just go on about your business and get away from them. But it is highly, highly effective. Let me see. I'm not going to pull off, but my hands will be visible at all times, and I won't make any sudden moves. I am already nervous, but the cops will use that as just cause to do more and maybe kill me. Cops do scare me in general. I know all cops are not bad, but not good enough cops hold bad cops accountable. Amen on that one. Here, shall I say. Cops in general find a way to blame the victim for their own demise. Yes, they do. Queen Maxine writes, they already know the damage that they are doing. What? They laugh about it. Wake the hell up. Damon writes, black people commit crimes at the same level as every other ethnicity. Check the numbers. But we are policed and punished more than any other ethnicity. I agree. Lawrence writes, you have to be mentally ill black men to believe that the problem is police training. They don't do this on the scale to other groups. The police have the best training and resources ever. Stacy writes, agree, cops do treat people of color different. Angela writes, I think I react a bit more calmly since I stopped watching back-to-back police murders in 2016. Tabitha writes, it's simple. It's racism. TNT writes, the guy, they shot them in the back because they would not be allowed to get away. They sprayed the lieutenant instead in the face instead of talking with him because they want you to obey. Yes, some officers, TNT, they get all caught up in, to me, that's a weak man. You know, any police officer, you got all that training, you got all those weapons and all that, you got your Batman utility belt, and you over here trying to bark orders because that makes you feel like a man. That's a weak man right there. You're really small inside. And your little badge and your little weight makes you feel like you are somebody. That's how I look at a situation like that. That's how I look at a man in a situation like that. Just a weak ass man. Oh, I said do this, and I'm move, and all that's unnecessary, sir. You ain't got to do all that. But that's a weak man acting like a strong man. That's what a weak man thinks a strong man really is. You feel me on that? Crystal writes, they see you immediately as a threat, black man. Aggressive energy from the jump. Your beautiful black skin is a crime. Understand that. Oh, yeah. It's not just police officers. It's white folks. It's white folks. There's some of these people in these schools, too. I dealt with it myself. They'll interpret, you're not a father no more. You're just an angry black man. Lawrence writes, the caller just made my point. It has nothing to do with training. It has everything to do with being on code. Maurice writes, blacks, African Americans don't have rights because they are not looked at as people and nationality. Politically Petty Podcast Show writes, rack 'em. Maurice writes, the black code. Let me see. Let me jump inside the chop shop here. Craig writes, what's up, Craig? Craig writes, the killing of that young black man was not a mistake. That was another sacrifice to white supremacy. April is their holy month. Unfortunately, there will be more this month. Oh, and by the way, where is the Asian support for all these unarmed black men and women being killed by race soldiers? Oh, he gonna bring the Asians into it? I'm not surprised, man. So where y'all at, Asians? Where my Asian Americans at? I ain't mad at you, man. Daryl Rice, training will not correct the situation. This is the nature of police. They are the slave patrols. Charles writes, looks like he's writing to Lawrence, right? How can you train away fear? ? They fear the black man more than not. Hence the treatment we receive. Hence their false belief that we have a higher threshold for pain. And so anything physical they do to us is during their rest isn't supposed to hurt us, right? I'm sure that Derek Chauvin was shocked as hell when he actually killed George Floyd, right? He's like, oh, he couldn't take that? It was just a little knee on your neck for 9 minutes. You're superhuman. Because, in the minds of some people, black people, and primarily black men, we reside between the polar opposites of superhuman and subhuman, right? Superhuman and subhuman. Oh, he's a beast. LeBron James is a beast. He's not a beast. He's just an athlete who worked very, very hard and built up his musculature to the apex of his human capabilities. But he is human. Giannis, the beast. I hate when they call him the Greek freak. He's not a freak. He's not a freak. He's just a very tall black man that grew up in Greece. He ain't superhuman. He just got extremely long legs and arms. That's it. You know what I'm saying? They celebrate you for being superhuman when you got a uniform on your back. Oh my God. You superhuman now. But just like that, you can be subhuman and subject to whatever discipline they feel is necessary. Iris writes, misdemeanors should never result in death. I agree. William Kirkland's in the house. How you doing, brother? Sergeant Cartier accidentally on purpose, but that live round in the beanbag gun. Sergeant Cartier had killed a citizen before. Oh, really? That's kind of jogging a memory. Maybe somebody else told me that, William. Hey, good to see you, brother. Thank you for being here. Good to see everybody. Sean writes, the trauma is real. Yes, it is. Very, very real. Iris writes, her screaming taser means nothing to me. Is that right? As if she said that as a setup. Like these officers are smart. They're not dumb. They know how to and what to say and what to do to get away with the things that they do. They know what to say. Was she really meaning to shoot him, to kill him? And she tried to cover her ass by saying taser first? It is what it is. Let me see here. Shy writes, talking to Damon, true, but somehow manslaughter seems to disappear right out of the law books when it comes to cops. Different rules for them, and it's trash. Michael writes, I have woken up a bloody mess in jail. What's your point? I guess it was my whiteness that got me that way. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Hell yes, we have trauma, and they know it. If he was white, he'd still be alive, point blank and period. Let's go there. Do you agree with Queen Maxine? If Dante Wright were white, would he still be alive today? Damn, let's just get straight to it, huh? That's cut straight to the heart of the question. Real quick, you got me for another 7 minutes. Do you agree or disagree with Queen Maxine? Do you think she's making a legitimate point? Do you think she's right? Do you agree with her? Jerica writes, that caller was no brother, and it's not our responsibility to educate those not of color. Sarah writes, anybody can get it in the chop shop. Absolutely. Everybody do. Tracy writes, Kim Porter could have killed the other person in the car. Yeah, she could have. Politically Petty Podcast writes, preach, Nate, it starts at home first. Yes, it does. Absolutely. Every day, all day. Here's a question. What will be the productive response to this most recent killing? Here's a good question. What would be the most productive response to this most recent killing? That is a good question. That is a good question. It's a very good question. Yeah, what is the most productive response to this most recent killing? Oh, it's very interesting. I call him Jason Drippish. Y'all wrong. Beth writes, replying to Angela, some BS as usual. She fears for her life. Queen Maxine writes, I did very well in my criminal justice courses, and I admitted that I shouldn't have been a police because my fear would cause me to overreact. Many of them simply choose to kill. Michael writes, decriminalization of victimless crimes will be a great start point. Stacy writes, Nate, you're right. As long as it's a black issue, no one cares. But if it becomes a citizen issue, everyone cares. Jerica writes, we binge watched them. It was very deep. Did you? We don't have time today, but I want to circle back around because it is deep, and I don't think I've watched enough of it to really understand. But it's real deep. And it makes you wonder, like, damn, is this what my people had to deal with? Moving into majority white neighborhoods back in the day? It's real deep. Jesse writes, it's a good show. Yeah, it's a real good show. I'm like an episode. I might even be 2 episodes in, actually, the more I think about it. Maybe more like 1.5. But so far, I like it's worth my time. It's worth my time. I'm watching them. Yeah, I'm going to circle back around and get your thoughts on that. Yes, yeah, I want to watch that. Tiffany writes, them very deep. Yeah, it's very deep. It's very deep. Let me put it that way. William writes, the world cannot touch Cincinnati when it comes to police brutality bullshit. Everything that's happened everywhere else has already happened here 10 to 15 years ago. Sergeant Cartier had 2 police-involved shootings during his career. One left the suspect dead. In the other, a man was paralyzed. He was naturally cleared of any wrongdoing in both cases. In 1998, Cartier shot Timothy Blair. Blair was accused of shoplifting. Hold on a second here. Hold on. I'll finish this. Let me go straight to the call here. I'll finish this when we get back, William. Good morning. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, dear brother. How are you?
I'm doing great. Sister Iris. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As I said this morning, I've been up all night watching trials, watching this, watching CPD, watching the state, watching the feds, watching everybody as it applies to Black people. It's stressful as hell. So I know trauma is real and fear, and we need to utilize that as we begin to hold people who hire, don't fire, don't convict, and don't jail cops who act inappropriately on their jobs. These are jobs. This is not a birthright. It's nothing that they were born to do. This is a job. And if you do not perform well for the citizens who pay for you to be on that damn job, then we need to get you out by any means necessary. So with that, dear brother, I sent you the flyer. This Friday, we will be holding a mayoral forum on public safety only because of the work of the collaborative agreement, because of the sacrifice that was put into that, and because of the 15 brothers that died at the hands of police as we begin to file. Timothy was the 15th, and we filed before Timothy Thomas was murdered in the city of Cincinnati. I want folks to know that. We rolled into federal court with a 33-year history, a very biased, very traumatizing, very dehumanizing, and unconstitutional policing of the police in this city and the Black community. I'm saying from 1967 to the year 2000. So miss me with that. We ain't got the data. We got all the data. We know what it is. We know how it is. And we have so much so
We see it happening to our children. But for some reason, we like to justify it. For some reason, we want to blame ourselves. And for some reason, we believe that we don't matter. Well, I'm not of that mind. So if you're interested in hearing what the candidates who are asking you for your vote has to say about policing in the city of Cincinnati, the collaborative agreement and or its refresh, the Citizens Complaint Authority, community problem-oriented policing, any of it, because it all came from it. If you want to talk about the reduction of arrests, because we can now quantify and see when you put measures in place, the less opportunities for interaction, the less opportunity for bullshit to happen, for lives to be taken, for the trauma to occur. And we can quantify that, Nate, and we can quantify it in as well as the number of shootings from the past 5 years that police are when they pull their firearms. We now see it because we have put provisions in place to begin to track it. No, I'm not saying that this is utopia for Black people in the police. What I am saying is that there are folk who refuse to leave the table. There are folks there trying to do one part of this triangle because the other part is the prosecutor. You can't jail cops if prosecutors don't prosecute. They won't go to jail if you don't elect judges who have the balls enough to sentence them. So this is a multi-pronged approach, and we need all hands on deck if you are so inclined to be about this work. But this is just one system that doesn't work for us, dear brother. Just one that we actually pay for. And if we're okay with funding our own oppression, and if we're okay with not trying to figure out as time goes by how to hold everybody that has the power to hold them accountable, then we'll get what we get. But if you want to be part of this forum, your questions are welcome. Your presence is welcome. Please email us at cbufleadersfreeworld@gmail.com. We will send you the Zoom link. We welcome you, or you can simply listen, question, do whatever you like via my Facebook page, via CEAI's, OJPC's, Leaders of the Free World. If you want to hear what they have to say, because that's the second part of it. So we got to hold them accountable. Then we got to hold the person accountable, whose job it is to select the next chief, because that's coming up too. And or by the way, Mr. Ivy, we need to have that conversation with the choppers. What type of chief do you want? Do you want the city administration to use issue 5, which says they can go outside of the city to select the chief, outside of the state of Ohio, another provision that came out of our work? Or they can simply go and use someone from that's standing right behind the assistant chiefs. Which do you prefer? Which do you want? How do you want it? Do you want to be part of the selection process? We've done that too. This is a heavy day for me, and I said it before, and I'll say it again. Anytime any violence against Black people that happens between Black people and police, whether it's here, there, or everywhere, it impacts us everywhere. That's the trauma. That thus brings the fear, because we then believe that nothing will happen, and something has to happen. Something must happen. So again, Friday, 4 o'clock, gave you the email address. All of the candidates except for Mr. Nujoli will not be there. We sent out a survey specifically on policing because that's what we've been doing for the past 20 years for Black people. The class inside of the collaborative agreement reads like this, y'all. There is no other one anywhere else in this world. It reads all African Americans and or Black people who are perceived as such and who live and walk on the streets and thoroughfares of the city of Cincinnati and come into contact with Cincinnati police and or their agents. You find me something like that in the United States of America that is trying to protect Black people from the people that they pay to protect them. You find me something that's been on the books. You find me something. You find anybody, anything But until we begin to see that we really do matter, it didn't take me until Black Lives Matter to show up that I knew that our lives matter, your life matter, your son's life matter. These provisions we're trying to put in place will be there when your son is a teenager, becomes a young man, and then grows into an adult. So Nate, I hope that you'll join us, and I hope that if you got questions, you'll send them to us. This will be led by the young folk. They will be asking questions. They have a series of questions that they've been pulling together based on the collaborative, based on the refresh, based on all of the work that came out of the collaborative agreement and all of the sacrifice and the lives that were lost, the 15 that we lost prior to, from 1995 to the year 2000, and then all the ones that we have no freaking clue about, all the ones that we don't know anything about. And all the children and all the young adults that have been traumatized for no reason. If you want to hear what's happening Friday, you want to see which way we are attempting to go by holding people accountable, email, and we will send you the link. We don't have no problem. All we ask you to do is allow us to flow as we do. And when it's time to open up for questions, have your questions ready. Be ready that you got something you want to come back with, we'll hear that as well. But my heart is heavy because I'm watching a trial and here I am getting ready to see something else. And we're talking about a 20-year-old. We're talking about a 20-year-old whose brain has not developed yet and who's seen probably all of his life police marginalize, brutalize, traumatize people that look like him. How in the hell do you not be afraid? Explain that to me. How do you not be? How do you not be afraid? All these folk all up in the chop shop talking all this, brothers, where y'all at? Where you at? I don't see you on the front line. I see you pushing for change. I see you pontificating in the chat room talking while lives are being snuffed out, while criminals are being created. Bad policing creates criminal behavior. That's a fact. Let me bring it down. Friday, 4 o'clock. Send us your email address if you'd like the Zoom link, if you'd like to participate, if you want to know the additional parts that you as a citizen should be doing to hold people accountable, at least know who you're voting for and where they stand on a very important matter called public safety. I appreciate you, dear brother. Hopefully you'll send us some questions. Hopefully you'll be with us on Friday, and hopefully you'll stand with the young folk who are trying to ensure that the people that they color in the box will represent what they believe should be the person who's over the person, because they will select the city manager who will then is supposed to appoint and select the police chief. And that is what we will be faced with by the end of the year. I appreciate you. Hopefully I'll see you all on Friday. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. That's on Friday. And it sounds like they're going to focus just on public safety, which I think is good. And I don't have any questions as of right now, Sister Iris. I'll think about it and, of course, send it to you. Not a question, but I remember a couple of weeks back moderating the NAACP forum with the mayoral candidates. And when we brought up the refresh, some of them didn't know about it. And I think that's inexcusable. It is inexcusable if you're running for mayor for you to not know about the collaborative refresh. You should know specifically about what those agenda items are. Okay, but I could tell from some of the answers, a couple of them, that they didn't have no idea. What I'm hoping is they'll be sharp. And if they're not sharp and on point, Sister Iris, I'm hoping that you and your team will hold them accountable, right? And don't let them skirt away from that, because it kind of ticked me off. I'm like, wait a minute. How do you run for mayor and you don't know about the specifics? If anybody should know the specifics about, what the ask is in the refresh process for the collaborative, it should be those who are running for public office. You should know that. If I know it, you should know it. Okay? So I appreciate it. Listen, family, that's my time. Got to make a move. I'll be back with you, and hopefully better than ever tomorrow morning, bright and early at 7:30 a.m. We'll chop it up on everything that's happening. I'll give you updates about this story and anything else that's happening in the greater Cincinnati area or locally or even culturally. We love to talk about the hot topics as well, but primarily today we spend our time talking about, what's coming from Minnesota. All right. So have an excellent day, everybody. And I'll leave you like this. Remember our motto. Okay. Winners, say it with me, family. Winners focus on winning, and losers focus on winners. So stay focused and stay winning, and we'll talk real soon. I'm Nathan Ivy, and I'm out.